Alright, section 5.1 is on properties of exponents. This is Algebra 1 review, so hopefully you have the notes on the stuff. These are some extra practice problems to help you through working some of these. For the first one, we have a multiplication problem. It's just two monomial statements being multiplied together. So multiply the two outside numbers as you normally would. 4 times 3 gets you 12. But when you multiply and you're dealing with exponents, if they have the same base, like x to the 6th and x to the 2nd, you add the exponents when you multiply. So 6 plus 2 for the x's gets you 8. And then negative 2 plus negative 4 for your y gets you a negative 6. Now, a rule of thumb for simplifying monomial statements is you cannot have negatives in your exponent. So one of the rules you learned back in Algebra 1 was to get rid of the negative exponent by bringing just this piece to the denominator and making the exponent positive. That is your simplified form. Alright, example 2 is a power to a power. You have this monomial being raised to the second power. So each of these exponents are going to get multiplied by 2, because for a power to a power you multiply. So you really have 3 to the first. So 1 times 2 for the exponents is 2. For the x, you've got 2 times 2, which is 4. And then for the y, you've got negative 3 times 2, which is negative 6. So same thing applies here. We want to simplify this. So 3 squared gets you 9. X to the 4th stays x to the 4th. And this y to the negative 6 needs to become a y to the positive 6 by bringing it to the denominator and making it positive. Alright, example 3 is another question similar to example 2. The only difference is the outside exponent is negative. You really don't do the problem any differently. This 4 still has an exponent of 1, so you're going to multiply all of your exponents together. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So this time you have two parts of this equation that are negative exponents. So the only thing that stays on the numerator is x to the 9th. The other two things go to the bottom and become positive exponents. And for my final answer, I'm just going to use the calculator to get 4 to the 3rd, which gets you 64, and then y to the 6th. Okay. Alright, example 4. This one's a division problem. So when you divide, you are to subtract your exponents. This 9 and this 3, however, are not exponents. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And when you subtract exponents, you always do top minus bottom. 2 minus 1 is 1. For your y's, negative 4 minus negative 6 gets you a positive 2. And in this case, z to the 3rd and z to the 3rd is actually z to the 0 power. But anything to the 0 power is just 1, so these are said to just cancel. So your final answer is just 3xy squared. Okay. Alright, a few more examples. Example 5. This one has division and a power to a power in the same question, so follow order of operations. Get rid of your exponents first. This is 2 squared, and then x to the 4th on top, y squared on top. I'm just multiplying all my exponents. 1 times 2, 2 times 2, 1 times 2. On the bottom, nothing changes yet. Alright, and before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and square this 2. So 2 squared is 4. Everything else I'm just rewriting. Then I can do it just like the previous question. When I divide my numbers as normal. The only thing about this one is 4 over 8 is a fraction, but it does reduce to 1/2. And then you subtract your exponents, top minus bottom. 4 minus negative 6 is 10. 2 minus 5 gets you negative 3. Now for my final answer, I want no negative exponents. The only thing that's negative is this y to the negative 3. So the x to the 10th stays on top. The 2 is still on the bottom, and that y to the 3rd goes to the denominator as well and becomes positive. And the last question for this video, you have two fractions multiplied together. What I would do is multiply the fractions first. So across the top, 4 times 2 is 8. And then you got x squared and y to the 4th. Those don't really change. Just put them side by side. And then the same thing on the bottom. 3 times 6 is 18. You've got x to the negative 3 and y to the 4th. So just put those side by side. Nothing really to do to change those. So you can see the y to the 4th will cancel. 8 over 18 will reduce to 4/9. And then do top minus bottom. 2 minus negative 3 is a 5.